Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the Underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The Underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the Underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun, and it's all-around good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
What's up, Star Wars fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Star Wars Underworld podcast. We are your source for the latest breaking Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion each and every week. And this week on the show, we're going to be leading off with talking about the news that rocked Star Wars fandom. That's right. The beloved, popular character Teek is going to be in Skeleton Crew. I know that the other hosts are just dying to talk about this.
Oh, can't wait.
Dying. Oh my gosh. But we also need to tell you we're going to be talking about a very small convention, New York ComicCon. It's going to be a bit of an afterthought later in the show. But we will be talking about New York ComicCon and getting to your amazing hashtag Ask the SWU questions. My name is Chris, and joining me, it's my good friend, Mr. Dominic Jones.
Hello, Chris. Hello, Hannah. Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's interesting that the Teek leads the show. There's a lot of other really exciting, interesting Skeleton Crew news that I'm looking forward to getting into.
I think Teek takes the cake, man.
Teek,
come on.
Yeah,
come
that's
on.
what. Go Teek or go home.
If Omega said it, Teek's the Teek with the Teek.
Teek.
I think.
Too soon.
Yeah, we're still missing tech 2 years later. Yeah, I'm excited to get into the Skeleton Crew stuff. Excited to get into some book things, which we don't usually get to on the show, and it's gonna be a fun time.
All right, and also joining us all the way from the Hannah side, it's Ray.
G'day there. Great to be back for another show. Can't wait to get into all the topics today, but specifically publishing, because we coming in this week, a little late for here in Australia. I finally got my hands on the Secrets of Clone Troopers book, which came out.
Ooh.
I don't know what the official release date was, but it was about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. This came out and was available. And I'm yet to fully go through it, but I am very stoked with this pickup. So yeah, interested to talk publishing today. It's going to be good.
What are the big secrets? What's the biggest secret about the clones that we don't know?
Good question.
Like,
That's a good question.
I feel like we know the clones very well. Like, what is
we have the
Rex
Clone
hiding
Wars, we
Yeah.
have the Bad Batch, all of that, and which goes into
Rebels?
detail about what the clones are up to. So, what is possibly the secret of them? That's a great question. That's going to be the title of my next video. What is the actual secret of the clones? What are they not telling us?
What are they not? Yeah, what are they not? Yeah, I mean, we know their biggest secret, which is Order 66. We figured that one out.
Yeah,
we've cracked the
I feel
code
like
on
we've got
that. Yeah. What else? What else are they hiding? What don't we know? You know what else
That's
we
so
don't know?
good.
You know what else we don't know? Where the hell is Ben Hart? What's he up to?
Ben?
Why isn't he
Ben.
here? That's the biggest
Ben.
mystery. Burn. That's the biggest mystery. Post in the chat your theories where Ben Hart is this week.
He's busy writing the secrets of Ben's clones.
Secrets of Ben's clones. The secrets of the Ben Troopers.
Yeah,
the Ben
that is
Troopers.
what is
Now
happening.
there's
That's
some
funny.
secrets
That's good.
I'm sure are juicy, worthy of great discussion at great length. But
Definitely.
it's for another show because apparently we have to talk about the Teek.
That's right.
Is it the Teek or Teek?
You know what? Neither is correct. It is the Teek.
Okay.
It's the Teek.
It's the Teek.
It's the Teek. There's a big difference.
Aha.
Is it okay? All right.
I mean, you don't just say Megan the Stallion.
Megan
Yeah,
Thee Stallion.
but there's an
Yeah.
extra E in her name. Isn't
there's
there?
also an extra E in Teek, so it's clearly
Yeah,
the
in
Teek.
but in the
What's not Theek?
Well, you know,
What?
sometimes after a lot of Jawa juice, it
combine
is
them.
Theek.
Theek.
I'm already confused. This
Chris
is gonna be...
Chris Theekle.
All right, let's that is
Chris Teekle.
Oh,
Dude.
no.
This is the,
I don't.
so
I'm just
good.
lucky that I avoided all that as a kid. Somehow, I was lucky in that regard
Man.
because it could have been bad. Okay,
Unreal,
reel it back in.
unreal.
Reel it back in. Reel it back in. We got plugs before we talk about the Teek. You got to check out all the other shows on the Star Wars Underworld Network. We know that you've heard us say this time and time again, and we know that you just finished watching our show and don't go to those shows sometimes. So we're telling you this time, what you're going to do is you're going to set an alarm in your phone. This show's going to last 2 hours. So while you're listening, you're going to write an alarm on your phone to go off in 2 hours. And that's going to say, go on the Star Wars Underworld Network, go on our YouTube channel, and check out an episode of Ion Cannon. And check out an episode after that of Tales from Beyond the Galaxy on Twitch and Tractor Beam on our channel. And then after that, make sure that you go over to the Raeside. If you're just listening, RAE side is how it's spelled, and you check that out. So remind yourself to do that because we know that you'll be scrolling on TikTok, you'll forget.
And I'll say this week is a good week to tune into the Tractor Beam. Matt and Chris back from New York ComicCon. They recap the whole thing. They have an interview with the Star Wars comics author. Definitely check it out. It's definitely one that is not to be missed.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Make sure, of course, you follow us on the only social media that exists, Threads, at the SWU. That's where you can keep track of us throughout the week when we're not broadcasting. And you can also talk to us throughout the week as well over on Discord. The link is in the description. We've got lots of fun stuff over there. And that's where these hashtag Ask the SWU questions come from Discord. So go make an account over there so that you can ask us questions. And as you're leaving the show, or now, if you please, make sure that you are subscribed to whatever version of this you are listening or watching. You can hit that subscribe button, punch it chewy on YouTube, or subscribe on your podcast catcher, or follow whatever social media you're watching us on. And for those who are just on YouTube, we do have a couple special extra things on YouTube that aren't everywhere else. You can do super chats. So if you forgot your hashtag Ask the SWU question, or if you want to talk to something that you just thought of relevant to this show that we're having now, the best way to get it in at the buzzer is by super chatting with us, and we will immediately respond to that in that section of the show. And lastly, but not leastly, make sure you become a channel member if you enjoy our YouTube. It helps us continue producing the show because it actually does cost a little bit of credits to run all this. And we definitely need that money coming in to keep all of the platforms running. So we appreciate everybody who is a member over there. And we'd love to have some more people joining our clone troopers over there. Alrighty.
All right. Well, let's get into things, and I guess we're starting with the Teek.
Yes.
It's if you're not sure what the Teek is, this is a character that first appeared in the Battle for Endor Ewoks movie back in the 80s, and apparently will be reappearing, making its long-awaited, much requested, apparently return in a little over a month's time in Skeleton Crew. This was revealed in Empire Magazine. They have a ton of new Skeleton Crew content out this week, and we'll get to some of that, including a director's roundtable where one of the episodic directors, David Lowery, revealed that the super speedy Endor native, the Teek, will be making a comeback in his episode. And that it was done entirely practically. David said, "I was most excited about having hand puppets on set. It's the most ancient technology being used with the most cutting edge technology simultaneously. That combination was absolutely magical. There's a character in my episodes that's the Teek from Battle for Endor, and it's a little hand puppet. It just wiggles its hand. I was like, he's gonna get digitally touched up or replaced. No, in the final episode, it's just a hand puppet in the middle of this crazy volume set. the cognitive dissonance of seeing those two things together live in front of you is absolutely incredible. Chris, I feel like you have a lot to say about the Teek. Teek it away.
Oh, brother. God,
Oh
Elvis.
my goodness. Let's go. All right. So, for too long a portion of my life, I was afraid to watch Battle for Endor. Why? Because I'm like, this is a direct to VHS, TV, Star Wars movie. Like, I know going into this is not going to be like the same Star Wars I'm used to. So I feel like it'll kind of ruin the experience a little bit for me to watch this, because it came out before I was born, or I was 1 year old or something, and so I put it off for far too long. I don't think I think I was like maybe like 19 or 20 before I watched it for the first time. But when I watched this movie, and Caravan of Courage as well, because there's two of them, my opinion was they're actually decent movies, and that if they were in another universe, like not a Star Wars universe, they have a very good chance of being cult classics in the same way that like Pete's Dragon is, and Labyrinth is, and Willow is. Like, I feel like they've got like a really nice charm, quality. Obviously this campy's 80 direct to VHS type stuff, but it's so good. I think the thing that hurts the movies is that they're seen as like the very like the worst, one of the worst Star Wars things when you rank things in order. And so it kind of hurts that they'd have to live up to all the other stuff that is Star Wars, that is just such incredible, like, Oscar winning stuff. And then you have stuff that's just good. And so in that context, having that opinion of this stuff, that it's good stuff that's just overshadowed by great stuff. I really appreciate that they're referencing it and including it in the Disney canon. I think it is a kind of cool thing to say, hey, we're not just going to reference like all the stuff that in the Star Wars canon, but we're going to pull from some of the more kind of eccentric and interesting kind of iconoclastic moments that have happened in the history of Star Wars content. So yeah, this is cool. I appreciate this. I do think that it is a deserving lead story, and it does make me a little bit more excited beyond the excitement I already have to watch the show, knowing that we're gonna get such a cool tie-in to something that no one was expecting.
Yeah, Hannah, what do you think? What do you think of the Teek? Being from Australia, known for its creatures and critters, how do you feel the Teek holds up compared to the dingo,
I feel very
or whatever you guys have?
I feel very represented in this. I think it's a good moment in history for all small marsupials, and it's one that we'll remember for a long time after this. I oddly, this seems like the Ewok movies are up my alley, but I actually haven't seen either of them. So maybe this is my cue. This is my time. Perhaps an Ewok movie reaction might be in the works, because it does seem like something like I would be like obsessed about, like in that weird. I mean, you use the term cult classic. Like, I feel like these movies are maybe my energy in that way, but. Yeah, no, I think he looks hilarious. I think he looks fantastic. And I actually just appreciate, what's his name? The director talking about, the use
David
of...
Lowery, yeah.
David Lowery. I was going to say Daniel Lowery. The use of practical puppets and practical effects in movies. And I love that it's just this constant homage to it, because Star Wars was so big, original trilogy was so big with that at the forefront. So I'm glad that the kind of... just having this sweet connection to that still. I think it's really cool. I just have to say, Chris, you are one of the most elaborate explainers of analysis on the most weirdest freaking things. We're talking about this creature on the screen right now, looking like this, about him being in a TV show, Star Wars show, and you start your analysis with, I forget that, I want to go back and listen to it. It was like, back in the depths of like my childhood fears, the deepest thoughts. I'm like, that's the starting point of your analysis of this, dude. Oh, it's good. It's good. But yeah, good stuff. That's why we're here. That's why we're here for this top tier analysis.
Yeah. I have not seen the Ewok movies either. So maybe I need to, again, this is also my cue to watch them. I've never gotten around to them. I know that they do have a bit of a cult following amongst some Star Wars fans. I know, like, the Skywalking Through Neverland crew are big into them and have been big upping them for years. And I keep meaning to get to them, and I never have.
Is it on Disney Plus? Is it actually like a?
I think they are.
So. Yeah,
they all got dropped a little while ago. So
they're probably like, oh, there's animals in it, will offend the Australians. We won't post it down there. We'll probably do that. Hey, I'm gonna look if we have it.
They're like, it's a summer movie, so we can't release it at the same time. We have to wait until it's Australian summer.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. We don't know what the time is.
Which is coming up pretty soon, I suppose. I don't have any sort of like feel for this other than, like, there was a story not too long ago. Somebody was saying that, like, one of the actors was saying, like, the Star Wars movies have gotten maybe a little too serious, a little too self-serious. And sometimes that makes sense with something like Andor. And sometimes you want to have, but sometimes you need to have like the silliness, the fun, the goofy side of Star Wars. And I don't know if you can get goofier than the Ewok movies from everything I've heard about them. So why not in this show that looks like it will be, fun but still relatively serious, why not inject something a little bit lighter, like a Endorian speedster called the Teek, and he's got this like gray hair and a weird sort of like face thing, and just go for it. Like, just have a bit of fun with this and make it, have it be the kind of fun side of Star Wars.
Both of these movies are 137 minutes long.
Legitimate.
That's not like a little featurey little something. These are movies, man. That's crazy. That is nuts.
A lot of effort went into these. These weren't necessarily cheap things just because they weren't in theaters. And I want to say that this goes deeper than people think. And I've just realized an incredible connection here.
Because I have so many questions. Answer them all, please.
Okay. So, as you remember me saying that these movies had the opportunity to be a cult classic like Pete's Dragon if they weren't overshadowed by Star Wars and seen as just C-rate Star Wars. Just so happens that the one David Lowery, who we're talking about, directed a remake of Pete's Dragon in 2016. So clearly he's a fan of that era of cinema and has before adapted it into the modern era. So this is actually not a new thing to pull something out of something like this.
Well, and I mean, that's the sort of director you would want working on a show like Skeleton Crew, which is, kids on an adventure. So it makes sense. It sounds like at least in the case of David Lowery, they've picked a director to fit the series, to fit the tone that they're going for, the style that they're going for, and makes a lot of sense. So the Teek will show up on our screens December 1st. Or maybe sometime thereafter. The first 2 episodes premieres December 1st or December 3rd. When is it? I don't know. Sometime around then. I used to know these things off the top of my head. I don't know them anymore. But there's lots of other Skeleton Crew news. Empire Magazine dropped a ton of images from the show. A lot of them are sort of riffs on what we saw in the trailer. We got the kids on speeder bikes, the kids looking bored in their classroom, the kids kind of in a Star Wars-y marketplace, the kids in kind of some wilderness type locations. There's this really great shot that looks like them standing in front of a planet where they're kind of backlit by the planet, and Jude Law's there, so you just kind of see their silhouettes. A really, really cool shot. I hope that is like them.
I don't think that's Jude Law.
You don't think that's Jude
not
Law?
his nose. That's not his nose.
You're right. It's
okay. Somebody else's nose. And what if
that's someone else?
What if he's wearing a fake nose?
One of those glasses with the nose attached to it?
Yeah, the Groucho Marx glasses.
yeah, that's what they're called. He's wearing one of those. That's what it is.
Yeah, one of those. He's in disguise. He's undercover.
Now, just on this image, actually, if we can stick on this for a second, the child in the middle of the shot is that the same species as what's a
Adigalia
name? Adigalia. Yes, is that the same species?
Looks like it to me.
I think
same
that
like little headpiece.
Their headdress piece looks like her and Stassilee's.
Yeah, but in the trailer, that kid looks much more human to me. Like because they've
human.
got like a
right? Aren't they human? It's just a cultural thing.
No, Stassilee, don't they have like head things on the back, like things on the back of their?
I thought that was like a clothing item, like an accessory.
All right, let's go to Wikipedia.
Hang on, Matthew had it in the chat. Says it's not a Tholothan.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, we go to Wikipedia. Stassilee, a Force-sensitive Tholothian female, was a Jedi Master who lived during the final years of the Galactic Republic. Yeah, no, it could be, but I think that kid again,
near human is what they say, so it's not fully
near human. Yeah, yeah.
But
I don't know. Yeah, let's get semantic with this. I don't know the kid.
The kid when you look at
distinction. When you see the kid in other shots and you see them in trailers and stuff, they're the one that has the like Star Trek-y kind of visor thing that flips down. They look very, very human. So I think it's just a weird angle of their hair. Is my assumption.
Hair, or is it like tentacles?
Or like a hat or something?
A hat. I love how detailed we are.
Look, they haven't given us a new trailer in months. We're going off the images. Is this kid
surviving off crumbs?
Is the kid wearing a hat, or is it the Tholothian? One or the other. We gotta know. Image is great though. Image is great. And then there's also this is a cool look at one of the new sort of pirate droids in the show, which is pretty cool. It's sort of again kind of backlit by something red. In the chat, people are saying some of these images might be like special for the magazine, like they're not necessarily stills from the show, but they're meant to evoke something from the show.
This is clearly the main character of Star Wars Pirates.
Very well could be, but like what I'm getting at is like if you look at some of the images we've gotten over the years that have been preview images, they are not always like they're not always stills from the movie, but they're evoking like a moment in the movie. So even if we don't see
enhanced as well,
so even if we don't see this like this actual image of the droid or of the kids in space, I suspect we'll see a moment close to that when the show actually premieres.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at the droid SM-33 or SME, apparently a nod to the Peter Pan stories.
But
David Lowery also did.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that thing.
He did Peter Pan and Wendy last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
There you go. We're getting all the connections here. But I think the most interesting of the images does show Jude Law, and it shows him looking at a cave with some writing carved into it. The writing evokes a similar sort of writing that we saw on Peridia in Ahsoka, evokes some kind of Sithy writing from the sequel trilogy. Jude Law's character, what's his name? Jode. We haven't actually seen a lot of him, right? Like Jude Law for a long time was the only thing we saw from this show because he was familiar, but we saw like one or two shots of him. You watch the trailer, he's barely in that thing. And when he's using the Force. He's being kind of Jedi-like. There's something there's obviously something going on with this character. There's something more to him. And the fact that he's looking at this writing in this still that, again, we could be reading way too much into it. I get it. The way I see it is he seems to recognize this and he might know something about this. And this could all sort of start to tie Skeleton Crew into the larger Mandoverse story, which, because right now Skeleton Crew is part of the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett timeline and story and all that, but there's no obvious connections. This is the first, even mild connection between the two, just having him look at this kind of ancient writing that evokes what we saw in some of the other shows. And, maybe this is where we start to see those connections and start to see these things tied together and in ways that build towards Dave Filoni's, concluding movie in a few years.
Yeah, because one other place that this sort of type of text we have seen it. I think I've seen some people say that there was text like this on Peridia and behind where Thrawn was frequently. But it also makes me think of Mando season 2. What's the episode called? The one before the rescue. And Grogu is taken atop the mountain. And he does that little force meditation on the rock, and he's like beams up or something. And on the rock he sits upon, around the rock is text just like that as well. That's like glowing. So this has to be some sort of, this could be like an entry to an ancient Jedi, place, some sort of maybe not a temple, but maybe just some sort of Jedi point, force user point. So yeah. And to the point of what you bring up of we haven't seen much of Jude Law, I coined that to the fact that typically with these Star Wars show trailers, they show 90% of the trailers are all within the first 2 episodes. So I think I probably bet with this show, they do a lot of setting up with the kids. The first 1 or 2, even 3 episodes is just kind of establishing those characters. They start to get lost, and then we might not see Jude Law to episode 3 or 4 in that way. So that's why I think he's not in it too much yet.
Yeah. Well, Skeleton Crew is getting the, 2-part premiere treatment that all the shows seem to get these days. And so, yeah, I think you might be onto something where certainly the first episode, which again, looking at that trailer, seems to be where most of this is from. Because that's the kids in their boring lives and suburbia Star Wars and all that. That stuff will be all in the first episode. The second episode is where the adventure begins, and at some point in there they will meet the mysterious figure played by Jude Law, and that'll kind of set us on our course for the remaining 6 episodes as we tease out who this guy is and figure out what the larger story is and how these kids are going to get home, if they even want to go home as the series plays out. But it's interesting. I like that we're starting to see where the ties could be, even though this one, I don't think we'll have as many direct connections as Ahsoka did to the larger story. All right, let's move off of Skeleton Crew for a little bit, and let's talk about some of the other Mandoverse stories. If you are a fan of physical media, good news. Ahsoka and The Mandalorian season 3 are coming to Blu-ray and 4K in these cool steel book packaging. Lots of bonus features included, stuff that is not on Disney Plus. It's not just a rehash of Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. Did we ever get a Disney Gallery for Ahsoka?
I don't think so.
We did.
No, and don't talk about it. I hate them for it.
We never got one for Andor either. Okay, this drives me up the freaking wall, man. The Ahsoka BTS, we got these tiny little crumbs of these 1 minute and 8 second clips of Hayden and Rosario being on set together and prepping for the fight. It's dude, drop the, what they did for the Kenobi series was a Jedi's Return. It was this hour and a half of
just Ewan being like, this is what it's meant to me. This is what we, how we made it. But then, all the emotions, and you have so many great moments in that behind the scenes. Do that for Ahsoka, because that has so many moments with it, with Hayden as well. And I think seeing all the behind the scenes of Rosario, as well as like, seeing behind the scenes of Ray Stevenson and everyone on the project would just be unreal. But obviously it goes for saying all the shows, but just particularly Ahsoka, I'm like extra passionate about, like, how are you not dropping a 1 hour Ahsoka special of all these great people in Star Wars again? So,
yeah, I mean, Ahsoka in particular feels like it should have, right? Like, these are all characters that already have a built-in fan base, like Ahsoka, Sabine, Hera. That feels like Anakin, obviously. That feels like there's real potential there to, do interesting things with the behind the scenes stuff, which, to be fair, it sounds like they are for this Blu-ray release. There's 4 features, one called Ahsoka Legacy, one called Paths of the Apprentice, which seems to be all about Anakin and Ahsoka, Ghosts of the Past, which sort of goes deep on Sabine and Hera and Ezra and Chopper, and then Darkness Rising, which is about Ahsoka's foes. So that presumably that's where you'd get the Ray Stevenson and Shin Hati stuff. The actor and the character names equally the same. For a Mandalorian season 3, there's a tribute to Carl Weathers. There's a sort of a featurette on creatures and droids in the Mandalorian, and one about expanding the world of season 3's Mandalorian warriors. All of these are due out on December 3rd, just in time for Skeleton Crew, and pre-orders go up October 31st. But I don't know. It seems like Disney Plus is moving away from doing the behind the scenes stuff. Like, I for a minute there, it looked like they were really invested in it with that first season of Disney Gallery, and now, as with everything else that they're doing, they're increasing the price and decreasing the amount of content, and shunting this off to Blu-ray releases for you to pay for separately from your Disney Plus account, which is great. Just what we love, all the things we love about this.
That is a very good point.
Multiple times over. Love it.
See what they should just do is they should just have a code on this, and you put in the code, and then all this stuff just appears on your Disney Plus. It's not hard.
Yeah. Or, include some good stuff on Disney Plus, seeing as I got an email from them the other day saying they're jacking the price up, and include the behind the scenes stuff, and then, do a physical media release that includes even more if you want the even more, but I don't know. It was nice. I guess it was nice while it lasted, having the wonderfully named Disney Gallery.
I'm torn because on one hand, like, these come with this like reflective coaster plastic thing. I think it's called a disc, and I don't know what to do with that, because it's like I have a TV and I have like a phone, and I don't know. I don't know what to do with this thing that it comes with. But on the other hand, I understand that certain like CEOs of like non-Disney companies, like video game companies, I can't remember which one it was, like Xbox, but I'm not sure, so I'm not going to say that. That said recently, like, the future is coming very soon where like you will not own media. Owning media will no longer be a thing. So at the same time, I want to be encouraging of the fact that they're actually selling media, because selling media is like such a thing that's like gonna just get, every year there's gonna be less and less of that happening across video games, TV shows, movies, all this stuff, books even probably, which is wild to imagine. But yeah, I mean, like, but at the same time, it's like we're all herded into that future because of the convenience of the digital download and the digital stream, and how easy it is, and how you don't have to fumble around with a disc or have a player that can play the disc, and you don't have to worry about going to a store and buying what is a collectible item also to watch your stuff. So it's an interesting kind of back and forth there, where it's like, yes, it is annoying that they're not just doing all their content on Disney Plus, since we're all paying for it. But at the same time, if they had put out Willow on Blu-ray as a first season, we'd have a lot less problems right now.
Well, and that's just it, right? Like these are the Disney Plus flagship shows. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. But
I hope so.
You can never be totally sure. You can be 95% sure that they're not going anywhere. But what happens when the Disney people with the books, who make all these decisions, go, you know what? Actually, it's more worth our while to put these things up, leave them up for 6 months, and then take them away.
I mean, like, I can't remember. Were you on the show, Dominic, where I went on my Stargirl rant?
I don't think so.
Okay, no, I don't think you were. So I will rehash it. Was
any of us? Was this real?
This might have been a show I did with just Ben. Who knows? It's possible. But okay, so like, you know, speaking of flagship content, this is wild. So Stargirl, like, we all know the cultural phenomenon that is the Disney Channel movie. Like, it's a big thing. Like, you know, High School Musical, Camp Rock. You know, there's so many things. Well, Stargirl was the Disney Plus Channel movie. Like, that was the movie that the Disney Plus launched with. It came out right around the same time, or right soon after, and it was the big first original Disney Plus production movie. That is no longer on Disney Plus. They sold it. It's gone. You now have to go rent it somewhere else on another platform. I paid for that movie. I've paid how many hundreds of dollars to Disney Plus in my lifetime, and also the millions of dollars I collect from being a show on this podcast, and all of the things. Like, you know, I've collected all of this. I've paid for this movie proportionately more than most of the population. I had to then go pay somebody else, like YouTube, to go rent the movie. I had to pay like $4 to go watch the thing because I didn't watch it when it came out, and I wanted to watch it now. So there you go. Like, if they could take their flagship, this is like the new Camp Rock, you know, and then 5 years later it's gone. Is anything safe? Is anything sacred? I don't think so.
Yeah. That's at the end of the day, Disney is a corporation. They're going to do what corporations do, which is, you know, squeeze every friggin' dollar out of us until we stop, until we have none left. And I guess the best we can hope for is that they make good stuff along the way. But because that's the thing. Like, I look at these Blu-ray releases, and I love a good Blu-ray release. I love all the sequel trilogy ones. I have very fond memories of the prequel DVDs. Like, those were like essential. The prequel DVDs and the original trilogy, the DVD box set, were like essential to me becoming a Star Wars fan. Because part of what I love about Star Wars is the behind the scenes of it all. And those things were like chock full of like great behind the scenes stuff. I loved it. And so part of me sees this and I look at it and go, oh yeah, that's cool. And I look at the behind the scenes descriptions and I'm like, yeah, that's good. All right. I like that. But then I'm like, am I going to pay 48 Canadian dollars or more for a show that I'm already paying for with my subscription? That, again, the price is being raised on for what are probably going to be underwhelming extras, right? Like, they're going to be 10 minutes each, and that's about it. There's no feature-length documentary the way the prequels all had, or even the sequels. You know, the sequel DVD releases, the sequel Blu-ray releases were actually pretty good. They were pretty good.
The Last Jedi was amazing.
Yeah, Last Jedi was amazing. Force Awakens was amazing. Even the Rise of Skywalker one is great. Solo and Rogue One are a bit more hit and miss in the quality of their features. There's some good stuff in there, but it's not as good as the sequel ones. And so I don't know. It's just I feel pulled in both directions by myself of like, I want to get this because I love this sort of thing. And I know that, you know, like you're saying, Chris, in order to make sure you own something, you have to own it physically. But at the same time, I'm like, should I just cancel the Disney Plus subscription and just wait until Skeleton Crew rolls around, or wait until Andor rolls around and just watch my DVDs or my Blu-rays until then? Like, I don't know.
It's actually such a good plan if we all just like secretly we all buy this, we all buy the physical copies, and then we all cancel our Disney Plus subscriptions. Let's all make a pact, right?
Yes. All right. We're gonna do a blood pact, right? Everybody get your knives.
Dang.
Anyways, interesting stuff. It's a conundrum of epic proportions. Not really.
Now, just to be as broad as possible, this is in the gap between us telling a prompt engine what type of movie we want to see, and it's just spitting it out to us. Like, because I would say probably 10 years, 2034, we can just say, I want to see the Will show, and it'll just show it to us based on everything it knows about it.
Yeah. And will it be the actual show, or will it make a whole new show?
Oh, that's the Ship of Theseus question. I don't know. Leave that to the philosophers.
All right, let's move off of physical media and talk about. Well, let's talk about the movies. We got a couple of updates on the upcoming slate of Star Wars movies. The ever-evolving slate of Star Wars movies. We know the next one. We know the next one is The Mandalorian and Grogu. That is set in stone, or as close to being set in stone as something can be. But the question is, what's the next one after that? And for the longest time, everybody assumed it was the Daisy Ridley, Rey, New Jedi Order movie. Well, now it seems is a possibility it will actually be James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie. Daniel Richtman, the noted scooper, posted that once Mangold is done with Complete Unknown, which is the Bob Dylan biopic that he's releasing in December, he's moving on to work full time on Dawn of the Jedi, and it could start shooting as early as next year. This report comes around the same time that Daisy Ridley is at an event promoting her new movie. I believe it's called Magpie. Is that the one that's the new one? She's at an event with Collider, and she says about the Rey movie, things are evolving. I continue to be very excited. There will be an update soon.
Celebration.
Yeah, presumably. So I think as things stand now, and again, nobody should bet anything on any of this because it's all going to change 6 more times in the next 8 weeks. But it seems like that the plan may be now to go from Mando Grogu into Dawn of the Jedi into the Rey movie. And the timeline of this is interesting to me, that Dawn of the Jedi could start shooting as early as next year. Like, if it starts in the first half of next year, I think we're assuming Mando Grogu for May of 2026. If this were to start shooting early next year, conceivably could be done for December 2026. And I'll just throw that out there, that we go from 0 to 2 in a very quick amount of time, and then we get back onto the December release schedule for the Star Wars movies. After that, you go Mando Grogu in May 2026. And I'm just doing my best to give Hannah a stroke right now. Mando Grogu May 2026, Dawn of the Jedi December 2026, Rey December 2027. I'm just saying, throwing it out there.
You know what we said? Just saying about it could come out now. We did it for the Rogue Squadron movie.
Yep.
Is that what it's called? We did it for that. We're like, oh yeah, this will be coming out in like 2023. Like, we were like ready for this, right? So, not to be. I think I'm devil's advocate specifically for this one, because I'm Not at all interested. I'm not at all keen for it. You gotta convince me to go to cinemas and watch this Dawn of the Jedi movie. I'm not interested at all.
You're gonna see one trailer, and I'm gonna go on the Raeside YouTube channel and see a thumbnail of you going, "Oh my god!" And you're gonna be right.
You know what, Dom?
There, you're
You
gonna be
know
right
what?
there. And you're gonna have the
You-
biggest smile on your face, and your hands are gonna be on your temples in the excitement pose. And I'm gonna, and then I will see you in the movie theater. We will be sitting next to each other, ready to
I
argue.
will never see Star Wars with you again, my friend. I will never watch Star Wars with you again. You king of insults. Oh God. Yeah, maybe, probably. I probably will turn on this. Yeah, watch me totally flip my tone about this. But right now, I'm like, God, no, are we kidding? No, dude, just focus on the one like planet area we just started figuring out of like what's happening right now in New Republic. Don't be like, oh, long ago in the sand of time, what is the Force? Like, no, I don't want that right now. I don't want that. I might want it in 4 or 5 years' time. Fair. I don't want that though.
Fascinating.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. Like, let's keep the focus on the main story. Like Star Wars has struggled to get their stories off the ground for a while. So why spread the resources around? But I don't know. Of all the stories, and I'm not just saying that this is the most interesting one to me. So I'm like, bring on that one. Let's go right. Let's jump right to that. But I understand the point of, maybe this between 6 and 7 era should be finished being fleshed out before we say, hey, what about over here? But we'll see. We shall see. Anyways, I just thought the timing of those two reports was interesting. That it seems like there might be some changing in the thinking behind the scenes. Although, again, that changing may change again 7 more times.
No. This is it. All it is Kathleen Kennedy is on a conference call with like all these directors and writers, and it's just like, all right, people, just make a movie. Whoever finishes first, we'll put it in theaters. That's all it is. Like, there's no scheming about this, no planning, no changing of philosophy. It's literally like, can someone cross the finish line? Please, can someone cross the finish line? You will get a release immediately. Just finish the movie, please.
Just somebody start.
Somebody start and somebody finish. Somebody please shoot
something. I suppose Favreau, there's still time for things to go wildly wrong with Mando and Grogu.
Oh my gosh, there's so much time. Because that thing could get reshot, written off as a loss in taxes. There's so many things that could happen in this year, 2024.
Yeah, there's still plenty of room for things to go wildly wrong. Anyway. All right, let's move on. Let's touch on some book news, some publishing news. Tons of publishing news out of New York ComicCon. I'll run through them quickly, and then we can address the state of Star Wars publishing. They announced a new ongoing comic book series by Mark Guggenheim called Star Wars Jedi Knights, set just prior to the events of The Phantom Menace. Each issue will feature on a different duo of Jedi. Ethan Sachs is writing a new Poe Dameron-focused comic book series. The series is set just prior to the events of The Force Awakens. That apparently seems to be the rule here. So you have to set your story right before a Star Wars movie. That's the only time you're allowed to do it. They announced that the YA novel that ties in with The Acolyte, the Yord and Jeki novel, is called The Crystal Crown. Covers for A Valiant Vow and Into the Light, the new High Republic books, were released.
So much alliteration. Wow.
Yeah. And then there's been some new concept art from the High Republic. You can see that on StarWars.com. Grievous and Mace Windu are getting their own graphic novels from Dark Horse Comics. And those are kind of the big ones. Those are the big sort of Star Warsy publishing news out of ComicCon. Any reaction, any feelings on what we heard out of New York?
Are you telling me that they're just going to continue talking about tie-ins to the Acolyte like it's tie-ins to an active show that's getting another season. Like, please stop it.
Yeah. I mean, but it's also like it's the dead characters. So
it's even worse. This is just what is happening. It's like we love all of these dead characters from this dead TV show. Let's just make a lot of content around them.
Yeah,
great.
Funny, so funny. Yeah, the one I think that is most fascinating to me is the what's it called? The Jedi
Knights. Yeah,
Jedi Knights. Yeah, that is
really
that's,
going out on a limb with the titles there. Really coming up with something bold and original. Nobody's ever thought of it before. Sorry, Hannah, continue.
Yeah. It's it feels like it's a Tales of the Jedi, like the show, into a book, which I think is actually a really cool sort of adventure story-wise. And I think they're gonna focus on some really great Jedi in this one. Do we have the cover to show? Do we have the cover to show? Or is that one of the ones that was axed? We couldn't put in the show. Okay, cool. Great.
Just to clarify something, what Hannah's talking about here. Ben sent us about 30 images this week going, here's all the things you'll need for the show. And it's like, we can't put that many into StreamYard. I don't know. Anyways.
We could put it all into one PDF and just show it in that way.
Yeah, I would scroll through the
PDF. That's how it can work.
Yep.
But yeah, so Jedi Knights.
All right, why didn't one of you guys do it? If that's how you feel,
we do have a PDF expert here.
Have the opportunities.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, right? I'm a PDF expert. Yeah. But it's cool. Cool characters in that book. I think that's going to be really exciting. I'll probably read that one, to be honest.
Yeah, there's like, you look at the cover, you see Yaddle, you see Aayla Secura, you see Dooku, Qui-Gon, Yoda, Mace, Plo Koon, Kiadi Mundi. Loads of good characters, loads of interesting stuff. It should be a fun series. The other bit of publishing news that I want to touch on, this came after New York Comic-Con. This was they've announced a new series written by Charles Soule called Star Wars Legacy of Vader. It is a Kylo Ren story set between episodes 8 and 9. Wow. It's Kylo dealing with the new responsibilities he's taken on as supreme leader, confronting his own insecurities and how that brings him back to researching and being obsessed with Vader, right? Because in Force Awakens, he's all about talking to the Vader helmet. That kind of goes away in Last Jedi as Snoke kind of tries to get him to be more than that. And then Rise of Skywalker rolls around. He's got the helmet. He keeps it in a drawer in his room for some reason. And the movie starts. You don't actually know this from watching the movie. You have to read all the stuff around it, but it starts on Mustafar with him going to Vader's castle. So like he's right back to being obsessed with Vader. And so that's where things pick up. Also, the fact that, he may have discovered some feelings deep within him for Rey is also something that will be on his mind. So this story, this first book, the first issue of the series comes out February 5th of next year. Interesting stuff. What do you think of this as the next kind of big event in Star Wars comics?
They're finally making a Reylo comic. Period.
Yeah, I mean, like this is a part of the timeline that they have not really explored. There was a little bit of stuff in the years between like Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker being out in theaters, but not much. And one thing, we briefly touched on the Poe Dameron comic. I was kind of annoyed when I saw that announcement because it was like another story that was set right before The Force Awakens. And I'm like, the trilogy is done. We can do stories with these characters like within the trilogy now, the same way we do with Anakin and Obi-Wan in the prequels, same way we do with Luke, Han, and Leia in the originals. Like we can do interesting stories with these characters outside of the narrow boxes that we could do before the movies were released. Or while the movies were being released. And this finally is doing that for the sequels. Like, we talk a lot about the sequels. Do they need a Clone Wars? style show or that sort of thing. If we're not going to get a show, a comic book series or some novels would be the next best thing. And this sounds like it's going to pick up on that. And Charles Soule is the guy who's written Vader comics before. His Vader run from 2017 on was really, really good. And so I think he's going to find some interesting ways to tie that in with Kylo. He's a guy who gets that character really well. And yeah, I'm intrigued. I don't read many Star Wars comics these days. Nothing that isn't the High Republic. This might get me to break that streak.
I like how they also titled it The Legacy of Vader, and not like Ren, like, the story of Ren or something. They're leaning into that Vader name because I think the Vader's, run of comics was the most popular and most well known. And I like how they I feel like they're piggybacking off that a little bit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a sequel.
The Legacy of Vader. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. There's Kylo front and center, and yet we're still calling it a Vader comic book.
So.
It's like calling it's like calling the Phantom Menace the Legacy of Shmi. Like legit, like that's what it's like.
I feel like it'd be like calling Revenge of the Sith the Legacy of Shmi. Like, there we go.
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
Legacy of Shmi.
Shmi. Which in a way,
wait, no, I'm confused now because we mentioned Shmi before. Shmi,
right? Shmi. Teek. Anyway.
Shmeek.
The Shmeek. Yes.
Wow. So many Natalie Portmanteaus.
What? Shmeek?
Dominic did not understand that it was a portmanteau joke about portmanteaus and heard something different, clearly. And I know what Dominic heard, but that is not what I was saying.
Portmanteau. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's look, I can never be sure with you.
There was not a dental stop between the words.
Sure.
Did someone say Ord Mantell?
Yes. You know what? Let's talk about the bounty hunter we ran into on Ord Mantell. Let's get things back on track.
Gosh.
Good grief. All right.
Grief Karga?
All right, let's answer some questions. We got a bunch of questions here from the Star Wars Underworld Discord. We'll start with, and if people want to submit questions that are listening live, you can super chat with us or just throw a good question in the chat. We'll come back to it. We'll start with this one from Jesse B in the Discord, who says, if you could alter reality to reintroduce yourself to Star Wars, would you change anything, like when you first saw it, or which property you saw first? Question 2, if you were to be wiped of all Star Wars memories, but still know that this is a deeply loved series of yours, where would you start first? Assuming the mind wipe happened tomorrow, so all released current content is fair game. All right, let's start question 1. If you could alter reality to reintroduce yourself to Star Wars, would you change anything when you first saw it, how you saw it, what you saw first? What do we think?
I don't think I would. I started with Phantom Menace, and I think I would start with Phantom Menace again, and then just go through it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I started with A New Hope, and I wouldn't change that. And then for like the second part of the question,
hold on. We'll get to the second part in a second.
Oh yeah, you got to answer the first part.
Yeah. I'm just gonna complete the trifecta and say I wouldn't change anything either, because I saw A New Hope first and Attack of the Clones second, and
That's
even
beautiful.
still I wouldn't change.
And thinking that was the sequel.
Yeah.
That's
no, I think we knew it wasn't the sequel, but that's what the guy said. If people haven't heard this story, what happened was I saw Star Wars first. It was A New Hope, and then after that, we wanted to watch the next Star Wars movie, and this was back in the day that you would go to a video store and you would rent a video. And my dad walked into the video store and he said to the guy, "I'd like Star Wars 2, The Empire Strikes Back." And the guy said, "There's two different things. The Empire Strikes Back is rented out right now, but I can give you Star Wars 2. And so he took home a copy of Attack of the Clones on VHS.
How confusing.
And then you put it in the player, and the first thing that comes up is a little featurette with R2D2 and C3PO, where they go, "We have been instructed by Master Luke to recount the entire Star Wars story to you," and they tell you everything that happens in Episode 1. They tell you everything that happens in Episode 2. They conveniently skip over Episode 3 because it didn't exist yet. Then they tell you the entire story of the original trilogy, including every reveal, like Yoda, Leia being Luke's sister, and yes, the "I am your father" reveal. So when people try to tell me that spoilers affect their viewing and how they enjoy Star Wars, I'm like, that's fair. Like, that we all enjoy things differently. But I'm here to tell you they're not the be all end all, because I had the biggest parts of Star Wars spoiled for me. And here I am.
That's unreal. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes. And then after that, we watched Empire Strikes Back. And then after that, the next movie we watched naturally was The Phantom Menace. Because we went into an electronics. We went into an electronics store, and they were showing The Phantom Menace on like the big TV at the back of the store, and it was the pod race scene. And my brother was really intrigued by it, and I said, "No, we should watch Return of the Jedi next because that's next in the storyline." And my brother said, "No, I want to see this one." And as a compromise, because we had watched Empire Strikes Back, we would then go, which is what I wanted to watch. We would then watch what my brother wanted to watch, which was The Phantom Menace, and then we would get Return of the Jedi afterwards. So the order I saw Star Wars in is true, and this is true. 4-2, 5-1, 6-3. That is the correct viewing order. Again,
love the DJ order.
It's why it's why for me, like some of these debates about what's the right order to watch Star Wars, to introduce Star Wars to somebody in, or are spoilers a bad thing? They are irrelevant arguments to me, because I watched them in the stupidest order possible, and yet, other than I guess watching them backwards, like going like 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, maybe that would be stupider. But and yet, like, here I am loving it all these years later. So
I think I have the rare distinction of people who I typically my peers who are like around my age, of I believe that as far as canon Star Wars is concerned, non-canon, I think it's different. But for the Star Wars that is considered canon, I believe I've seen every second of it in release order. Every single second of it. Incredible. Which is wild. But I mean, it makes sense. I mean, there was only 3 movies when I was born. Watched them in order, and then after that, I watched every single TV show and movie as it was airing, as it was coming out.
There it is. So part 2 of the question: if you were to be wiped of all your Star Wars memories, but still know this is a deeply loved series of yours, where would you start? You can include anything that has been released so far. So you can't say, "No, I would just start with Skeleton Crew," or "No, I would start with the Dawn of the Jedi movie." You got to start with something that is current.
I think for me, I think I would approach it. I have this blueprint because this is what I do with literally everything else other than Star Wars, because everything else I haven't really seen in release order. So I think what would happen is the first thing would be whatever inspires me to watch it. So I don't know what that would be. It would just be the time of life, the time that I would start. So say it's like the marketing campaign for The Force Awakens. Maybe I would have watched that first, or Rogue One, or maybe I would have watched Revenge of the Sith first, like a lot of people my age.
So Jesse says we have to assume the memory wipe happened tomorrow.
Okay. So if that's the case, then that's a good point. Then it probably would be whatever the next Star Wars movie is, or whatever the next Star Wars show that's super popular, that is the zeitgeist that people are talking about. Like, that would be the first thing.
So you would. You would wait for Skeleton Crew.
No, I wouldn't see anything. If I had the mind wipe, it's very possible I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't have a reason to watch Star Wars.
But you recall. Yeah, the question is very specific.
I liked it.
Yeah, you remember that it's something that you like a lot.
So good.
I'm so missing the point of this question. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like you stopped listening after the first sentence. You're like, I know where this is going.
No, clearly, because I had already thought of the answer even before we did that. Okay. So, if that's the case, I would go in release order, and the reason why, and actually that was going to be my answer before, and then as I was then delayed, I came up with all the other stuff that is completely irrelevant and strange.
What are you talking about? Literally, what are you saying? What?
Right.
Hannah,
What?
you have to understand this all goes back to Chris's childhood. And
It does.
and
It does.
Deep,
it just wasn't didn't want to
Not
watch
yet
the Ewok
discovered.
movies. And so
The henceforth
actually,
shall
that's probably-
discover.
I would
that's
watch
probably
it.
what you would start with is
in-
Battle for
That's
Endor.
what I
'cause you-
hear when you
I would
talk.
watch
Chris. That's
it
what I
in
hear.
release order because that's what I did with Star Trek. There we go. With Star Trek, I watched the movies in the order that they came out in, and I would do that for Star Wars too.
Great. All right.
I
Hannah,
would-
do you understand the question or do you want to spend
I
5
do.
minutes going over it again?
I think I understand the question. Actually, no.
Okay, let's see.
I think I would start. If I was like, oh yeah, and I needed to get back into it or something. I actually think I would start at the sequels. And I think I would start there because it's like the most current looking one in terms of effects and visually of a sit down and have a movie. Like I think about I'm aware of Star Trek. I know it's there. I kind of, I know that there's the Spock and and there's that
The
ship
Spock.
that looks like a UFO.
Teek Spock.
Surely. The Spock. And Captain Kirk. I know that. And I feel like this is the same energy as this question because I'm like, if I was like, okay, I'm going to get into Star Trek and get into that, I feel like I would just go, what is the movie that came out like the most fairly recently? And it, I don't even know what it is for Star Trek, to be honest, but I would just Google that and see,
Star
okay, this
Trek.
one came out a few.
It's literally called Star Trek.
Oh, is it? I feel like I feel like there's about 50,000 projects called Star Trek New Generation. I feel like there's like 50 of those as well. I'm like, how many new
There's a movie
generations are there?
called
Where's
Star
the other
Trek.
generation? Okay, right. So I'd start there. That's for Star Trek. Sequels is where I'll start for Star Wars. Okay, yeah, there you go.
Either way, you're starting with a J.J. Abrams movie.
Yeah, The Force Awakens is the Star Wars skin of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek.
Which is the Star Trek skin of A New Hope.
Yes.
Yeah. I would
precisely.
So I would probably start with the Phantom Menace. I think because much in the way that Chris, you're like, I would go in release order because that's what it would be. And Hannah, you're like, I would go with what's most current. I know myself well enough to know that if I were starting again, I would be like, I want this in like the nerdy particular story order.
Oh, you're such a goody two shoes. You're such a gotta have it right kind of guy. Oh, jeez, man. Hey, little
Wow.
Well, you ripped on me for my thumbnails.
They're still on this.
Well,
take it.
So yeah, but I mean, like when I fall behind, when I've fallen behind on like the High Republic books and stuff, I'll go on Reddit and look up like what the correct like chronological order of stuff is, down to the point where I'll read like a single comics issue, then an entire novel, and then the next comics issue. So like I would absolutely.
And you're offended that I'm pointing out that you're kind of a particular guy.
Yeah.
What?
No, it's one of those like shots where it's just a little too true. It's a little too like on the marker. I'm like, oh,
How dare you?
No,
How dare you? Yeah, that's fair.
She's
That's
read
fair.
me exactly right. It all goes back to my
good.
childhood when I was afraid to watch the Ewok movies.
Oh, the fear uprising in my soul.
Oh,
my
but
gosh.
I think I would probably. I'm trying to say I would just watch the movies, but I would probably be like, all right, we're gonna watch Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, the Clone Wars in the like chronological order.
Wait, no. You got to start with the Jedi, that Jedi show on.
Oh,
YouTube.
you're right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because Acolyte exists too. So like, yeah, we're watching all of Young Jedi Adventures.
Yes, that has to be first.
Then we're going into Acolyte, and then we're just cruising right on.
I think you would take as long
being crazy.
I
Now
think
you're just being insane.
Yeah. Yes. Now we've crossed the line.
Too far.
All right. That's great questions, Jesse. Great questions. Next one comes from Vlad Sander, who says, okay, so my question might be a bit of a deep dive, but here it goes. With the revelation that the Teek, oh God, we're still talking about it, will be reappearing in
Let's go.
in Skeleton
Chris's childhood fixed.
I don't need to pay for therapy.
For the second time since the Teek's first appearance in 1985. Also with the knowledge that Sharal has been retconned to be a Night Sister, is it possible that the mother of one of the children in Skeleton Crew is Sindel? With the loss of her family on Endor during the events of the Battle for Endor, it would be nice to know that Sindel found a happy life elsewhere. What do you think? I haven't watched the Battle for Endor in at least 30 years, so I had to look up the info. I'm going to have to watch it again. Oh my, I felt like I had a stroke reading that.
Spoiler.
Any of that meant.
Spoiler.
Vlad continues to go on to say, as this episode will be dropping before Halloween and before the anniversary of the broadcast of the most famous radio play ever, Mercury Theater on the air, The War of the Worlds, happy broadcast day to all. October 30th, 1938, Orson Welles terrified hundreds of listeners with his broadcast done in the style of a news program. Police officers actually showed up at the radio station during the broadcast, and people who tuned in the midst of the broadcast panicked thinking it was actually happening. That is a fascinating story. And I love including a slice of a Wikipedia article in our Ask the SWU questions. No, it is a fascinating story. Orson Welles, very nearly the voice of Vader. True story.
Yes.
Chris, what do you think? Sharal, Sindel? Is it all connected in the Battle for Endor?
Okay. I have this developing theory, like, just hot off the press, people. Like, the fact that David Lowery was the one who directed the remake of Pete's Dragon, clear evidence to suggest that his original pitch was a remake of Battle for Endor. Like, he's like, he goes to Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, he's like, guys, you're gonna love this idea. So I want to remake the Ewok movies, but as a series. And he got some interesting looks that day in the boardroom, some interesting looks. But they basically came to a compromise, which is we're not gonna call it that. We're gonna give it, a really, really trendy name, Skeleton Crew. Let's make some new characters, some new situations. But if you want to include some stuff, you can include it. And that's where we're at right now.
I sure makes about as much sense as anything else. Makes about as much
all
sense.
I go for. That's all I care about.
Tie it all together. Why not? Why not? Great question and fascinating story, Vlad. Next up comes from Gilster10. Gilster10 says, outside of Claudites, Zam Wessel species, and the Mortis gods, are shapeshifters rare in the Star Wars galaxy? I mean, well, seeing as we can only list 2 or 4,
okay,
I'd say they're
minute.
pretty rare.
Hold on a minute. You've asked a question that is a bit of a logical impossibility to answer. Because how do you know someone is a shapeshifter? Everyone could be a shapeshifter. Everybody's a shape. So
we could be shapeshifters right here on this show.
That's right. I mean,
the show
clearly
ends. I turned into a giant bat like the sun on Mortis.
Yeah, clearly, because we say so many positive things about Disney, we're reptilians. Clearly, but
we weren't saying all that many positive things about Disney earlier in the show, so maybe not.
Yeah, so what's the connection with reptilians? How is that connected?
Shapeshifter's true form is a reptilian, according to the internet. It's like an iceberg thing. Okay. But anyway,
sure.
Here's the thing. I think that the Mortis gods and the Claudites are just the really bad shapeshifters that have gotten found out. I think there's plenty more that we just, they're really good at it. So we can't tell they're shapeshifters because, they don't want us to know. So I think there's a lot of them. We just haven't seen, we haven't seen it.
Which main character from Star Wars do you think is most likely a shapeshifter that we don't know?
Jar Jar. Clearly, there's no way. There's no way that the Dark Lord of the Sith, the real villain behind all of Star Wars, actually looks like that. That was he's trying to look unassuming, so he shapeshifted into a Gungan. Clearly.
Okay. Hannah, do you have a character that's secretly a shapeshifter?
You know what? I reckon if someone was a shapeshifter, it's gotta be the Gamorrean guards in Jabba's palace, because they know they have to keep this facade up going
Mhm.
with Jabba, but like they like shapeshift into like another alien at like nighttime and sneak out and like go do their other things and then come back as a Gamorrean. I reckon them.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fair.
gonna
That's what I think.
And say
Yep.
Din Djarin, and that's why he never takes off his helmet, because
Oh my God,
suddenly
yes.
he goes from looking like Pedro Pascal to looking like Brendan Wayne to looking like Lateef Crowder to looking like somebody else that we don't know.
You know what? I think his helmet just is his face.
Yeah. Oh, so when he takes it off, he's shape shifting to look like Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, because he's taking his face off. Like his helmet is
He's taking
removed-
his face off.
He's removed
doesn't-
his skull, and that's
yeah,
why
that's his
now-
exoskeleton. Yeah,
Mhm.
Beskar
All right.
exoskeleton. I mean, the Zilla Beast has you know a very interesting skeleton, so I'm sure he could do.
The Zillo Beast is a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Yep, that's my
Yeah.
one. Yep.
Yep.
That's my one.
You know, Tech is a shapeshifter, and he actually has wings so that he could fly away and still be alive.
Still too soon.
In season 4 of the Bad Batch,
Teek!
when that comes out.
The Teek. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
I just
Teek.
need Omega to show up in Skeleton Crew just to go, you're not Teek. You're Teek, not Teek, not Teek. I just want her to go through that for a little bit.
I'm
Is there an echo
sure
in
that
here?
she has another way of saying teak. I wouldn't be privy to how that would be said, though.
It would be Teek. Teek.
Yeah.
Like
still
it's
the
just a
same.
little bit lower. It's Tick.
Ah.
Because Tick is short. Tick. It would
Oh,
be
yes.
Teek. She's a little difference there. It's like the same sound, but just a little bit longer. Tick.
There you go.
Or Teek.
Ah, yes. The line over the letter.
I'm fluent.
The line over the letter. I don't know what that's called. It's not an accent aigu. It's something else. But it's a line over a letter.
We've made it. We've made it into Chris's grammar corner.
It is
I
something
don't think we're ever
between-
gonna get out.
It's something between an accent aigu and an umlaut. It's somewhere between those two.
I
was just waiting for the umlaut to get a reference here.
Yeah,
Just waiting.
I was just like, gotta throw the umlaut in. Gotta give the umlaut some love.
Yeah. All right.
Uber.
I think we
it's an Uber symbol.
All right. Great question, Gilster. I don't know if we answered it. I hope we did. And we also got a question from Dr. Hugh. Dr. Hugh, who says, my question for this week is, do you have a favorite Star Wars comic book series from canon Endor Legends? I partly asked this in light of the upcoming Poe Dameron comic book story recently announced at New York Comic-Con, but I've also been revisiting the X-Wing Rogue Squadron series this week, which is one of my personal favorites. Favorite Star Wars comic book series? What say you?
Well,
Well,
there's no question.
I'm a Debbie Downer because I have not read a single Star Wars comic. So I'll turn the comic back. Not the comic. I won't turn the comic at all.
How?
I'll turn the question back to Hugh of what comic should I start with? Because haven't read a single one. What should I start with? There's so many.
I'm shocked. I was not expecting to hear that. This question. This is just such a clear answer. Like, it's not a deliberation at all. The Republic series is the best comic book series. It's not even close. Nothing even.
Is it called The Republic? What do you mean?
It's
Or
called
is it
Republic.
the Republic?
It's called
The
the Republic. Yeah, it's called the Republic.
Okay,
The
what?
the dub was
I love how you're
lowercase.
suddenly serious about this.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
no
you
more
have to-
joking.
No
No more
we're
joking around about
No,
this.
it's-
Come
it's-
on.
It's Republic.
Serious.
Does
It's
it-
the. It's
Does it
the
have an
Republic,
X on a
huh?
goo?
The Republic.
No, it has an umlaut.
What about an Exal Grav?
Dude, I'm about to like quit this show, dude.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Right, let's see. That's the one of them's like this.
That's the
one of them's
opposite.
like
It's Axon Grav is the opposite of Axon Egu.
Wait, are we talking about like
Okay.
a one line or a two line symbol? 'Cause
Why?
I know.
a
a one.
solitary line.
Oh, like that. Am I making it correctly?
No,
it's like a
no,
slope.
that yes, it's a slope, but it's the other way from
This
Axon
way.
Egu. There you go.
This way.
Yeah, you
this
got
way.
it.
This is a grav. This is a grav. This is an
Yep.
egu. Grav egu. What's this one then? What's the one that's like a hat?
You know, there was a time in my life when I knew these things. but I don't anymore. Like it's like it's like when you're going through the drawers in my mind trying to remember all those French classes that I took, and it's like I just can't find that drawer. So we'll just have to settle that. But the Republic comic book series, or Republic if you prefer.
Yes, there we go.
Tell us about that. Why is it the best?
Man, oh my gosh, it is about Quinlan Vos being this like mysterious gray Jedi character, and then you have Ayla Secura, and you have Aura Singh, and you have Vilmer Grark, who's an amazing villain character, and Obi-Wan in the relationship, the very complicated relationship between Obi-Wan and Quinlan Vos, and then also Nar Shaddaa, one of the most interesting, like underworldly, seedy, cyberpunk like cities. Like there's a lot of really good stuff, and the art is really great. This is let's see, Jan Duursema was his artist, and then one of the writers was John Ostrander. Yeah.
So my answer is actually also an Ostrander Duursema collab. It's the Legacy series.
Dream Team.
The ones that are set
that's a good second. Yeah, Cade.
Yeah, set about 150 years after the original trilogy. Follows one of Luke's descendants called Cade Skywalker. The Sith are resurgent. They control the galaxy again. Yeah, Darth Talon, Darth Krayt. Those characters.
That's
it was a really great series. I remember reading it back in the day and loving it, and then during the pandemic, I reread a good chunk of it, and it held up. It really, really held up. Even after so many other stories. So
yeah, what a dream team. Anytime that Ostrander and Duursema were paired up, like everything they made was gold, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was
beautiful,
classic stuff. So
yeah.
Okay, so what is that? Would that be your recommendation for Hannah to start with Republic, or do you think there's somewhere?
Oh yeah, definitely, because that Hannah, with you loving Clone Wars era and loving prequel era stuff, I think you'd really appreciate that, because it's that same setting. It's basically like a Clone Wars comic book series.
There it is.
Yeah, definitely stands up my alley.
Yeah,
the Republic, love it.
Yes,
there it is. All right. That is it for questions in the Discord. So if you want to submit questions for Ask the SWU for next week, join the Discord. Get in there, submit some questions, and we'll do our best to answer them, or we'll just start discussing the different types of accent that we can put on the letter E, or A, or I.
Or sometimes Y.
There you go. So I don't think, I'm casting my mind back to 6th grade. I don't know if you can put at least maybe not in French, maybe in English you can.
Yes.
At one point, Hannah, you were adjusting your lights with the remote, and it looked like you were trying to fast forward through the conversation we were having.
It's like, please, where's the skip button? Come on, man.
Skip or mute. Valid would have been mute.
What an Adam Sandler movie.
But I think with that, we can begin to wrap things up for this week.
Thank you all so much for watching. And remember, if you want more of the Star Wars Underworld, our handle on social media is @the SWU. We are on Threads and maybe other places, but we're not allowed to talk about it. Dominic, thank you so much for hosting tonight.
It's my pleasure, as always. This was a lot of fun. Even the extended Chris's Grammar Corner was rather enjoyable. But yeah, lots of fun. Very, very excited for Skeleton Crew. Cannot wait for the show. I think Ben put up an image on our social media of the blue elephant character. It's sitting in class looking like bored and impatient. With the number 40 on it, because we're 40 days away, or I guess less than 40 days away now from the show. And that's how I felt. I'm feeling like that's me waiting for Skeleton Crew, sitting there just kind of bored and frustrated and ready for a new Star Wars show. So I cannot wait for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I also want to remind everybody, if you're interested in some hockey talk, you can check out Game Over Toronto. I'm on many of those episodes as we dissect and break down and have breakdowns about the various exploits of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Check out Game Over Toronto on YouTube, on your podcatcher, all that. It's a great fun time. And yeah, lots of hockey talk over there. But yeah, can't wait to be back next week to continue discussing all sorts of Star Warsy fun.
I was just having.
What's
happening?
The hockey talkie. That's what it's all about. Do you guys know that song?
Yeah,
I do.
Oh, okay.
I feel like it's called something else here, though.
It's Hokey Pokey.
It's Hokey Pokey.
Now I understand. Now
Hannah was writing a parody.
I'm saying
I get it.
Hockey
Yes.
talkie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's quite hard to say quickly.
You gave such like a blues rendition of that song. It's just,
a blues.
I got such a crooner.
Blues.
Yeah, that was such a ballad right there.
Yeah.
I completely lost. There was something fascinating that I was gonna say, but here we go. Yes,
I got the
yes.
hockey blues.
Hit those blues chords.
I got the hockey talkie blues.
All the
Talking
sevens.
about
Let's go.
Talking all day and talking all night about hockey.
The janky pentatonic scale. Let's go.
And that song is very appropriate, Hannah, because the Leafs lost 5-1 tonight and they lost 6-1 on Tuesday. So it was very appropriate. I do very much have the hockey talkie blues.
You have the blues. There you go.
That's gonna have to be a segment on your show. You're gonna have to catch that.
I think I gotta get Hannah to watch a Leafs game so we can get you to come on and do that.
I'll do the thumbnail of a really hockey! Ah! I'll do that for you, champ.
To hockey.
Thank you.
I feel like this is the video.
Surely there's a Star Wars night at some NHL teams we could go to, and we'll make that.
Get me there.
Hockey?
What? No way!
Oh my gosh, this is like these old YouTube videos where they included the thumbnail shot in the actual video. They're like, we gotta do thumbnail now, and it's like
We'll title it Ozzy reacts to hockey. What the puck?
What the fuck? Oh my gosh.
What the fuck?
See, you know what? I remember what I was going to say, which is this is giving me flashbacks to the time that I was on a sports show myself. I was on the E-Rock and Nerf show, and it was an all-sports show, and I only knew about 2 sports. And it was really funny when we got to the part where we talked about hockey, and I had to say, I thought it was really cool when they scored that goal last night. I saw the highlight. It was a bit dramatic. That did not last long. That show did not last long, and it was my fault. Oh my goodness. At Dominic J25 is where you can find the links to all the great stuff we've been talking. I think we haven't. Hannah, thank you for being on the show too.
Thank you. Wow. I skimmed past me there. Thank you.
I know it's like there's a lot of conversation, but there was no official gratitude. We must have.
Oh, it was a good time chatting. And yes, as per mentioned earlier, the secrets of the clones, if you do want to find out what secret little... I feel like we're at a sleepover with clones being like, what secrets do you have? Let's like text people.
Sounds like a time.
Prank call.
There's a sketch in there somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
Rex and Cody are sitting around. Rex calls up. He's like, hi, I want to order some pizzas. How many pizzas? And the guy's like, all right, how many pizzas you want? I want to order 66.
Oh
dude, that's good. That's so good.
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
The secrets of the clones. I will be discovering that live tomorrow with you on the Raeside. We're going to be reading through it, reading all the parts, interesting parts of it, looking at all the art that's in this book as well. So catch it live tomorrow, or just watch it after the fact and enjoy it then. But thanks.
Amazing. At the Raeside is where you can check that out. RAE side. Make sure you punch that subscribe button, Chewy, on YouTube as you're on your way out. Thanks for super chatting with us, and thanks to our channel members. And make sure you also subscribe and leave a review if you're listening on a podcast app. make sure the next thing you do is go over to our Discord, join that if you haven't. The discussion continues over there at the Star Wars Underworld Network Discord. The link is in the show notes in the description. And in just a few minutes, that alarm that you set on your mobile device probably is about to go off to remind you to check out another show on the Star Wars Underworld Network, namely Tractor Beam's amazing breakdown of New York Comic Con. That's it. We're out of here. We'll be back in 7 days. Until then, for Dom and Hannah, I'm Chris, and may the Force be with you.
It's a wrap.